Hey guys, it's Will. Hopefully, you're having a great day today. So, one of the questions is which stock in the quantum computing space has the most potential to grow throughout 2025? And we've looked at a lot of them. QBTS, D Wave is one that is quite promising. We're going to take a look at it here in this video. Hopefully, you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. So, again, D Wave, before I even jump into the stock, you guys have to realize that QBTS is much more similar to these other stocks than you might think. I feel like I need to change my lighting a little bit there. Is that better? Oh my gosh. There we go. Better? Cool. All right. Nobody cares. When we look at this trend, it's starting to look a lot like an upward direction continuation. In other words, it looks like it's going to continue to bull up, but we are at a critical level. And I don't want to say but because it should be and we're at a critical level. When we're checking out some of the trends, this is a previous level that has had a lot of activity. We saw it get rejected at this level and sink back down to $3 when it was on its run from what was $1 a share up to $11 a share. And we also saw that this was the point at which it bounced when we saw that big sell off from the Fed announcement that there was going to be less interest rate cutting in 2025 than expected. So investors and the whole market sold off. You can see that that's the point at which it reversed. So a little bit of an artificial there. Same thing here, actually. This was right after Jensen's comments. NVIDIA CEO said quantum computing is a lot further away than people think. However, after going to CES and confirming with multiple companies, including Microsoft, Rigetti, IONQ, and what was the other one? IBM. We got to talk with some of the executives there, and it seems that they are using quantum computers right now. A lot of people realized that a lot of backlash came from Jensen's comments, and you saw a big recovery. So after that big recovery, then we saw it sell back down, and now it's starting to consolidate and stabilize at this level around $5.50 up to about $7. So we can kind of map this whole level out. There's a resistance. Oop, that is an info line. Simply put, if we go from here to here, that is a previous resistance and a previous support. And we could bring that up there. There's also this previous level. That was kind of cool. And now we're hovering between these two levels. And what we're expecting is that it's going to continue this trend and continue to bounce between and consolidate. But what people are wondering is outside of the technicals, like, okay, let's say that it has its run, it continues this direction, maybe gets up 40% here is what that would be if it continues this uptrend. If it gets to previous highs, we're talking about 100% return or more. And then there's downsides, of course, this previous support, that's a 40% swing down. So there's a lot of different directions it can go. But when we look at it in terms of the overall market, it seems that the overall market has been gaining momentum over the past week or so, especially after the recovery from Jensen's comments. But what you need to look at with QBTS, which we can actually, oh, look at that Rigetti Spaghetti. We can actually talk about it a little bit, but you have other companies that are going to maybe get a lot of hype when they aren't at the same level of some of the other quantum computing companies. That happens quite often. Or even companies that are in software that we could map out here, like QSI for quantum computers, that don't even have hardware, but are trading at valuations of the hardware companies. And even so, this company that's up 4% today, we checked it out in our live session in Stockmate this morning. It's a company that is working in quantum as well, and they're actually starting to get some momentum, and they've kind of played into the same trends as what we've seen with the quantum market, even though they've kind of been under the radar. That's Adam. We'll be going over them more. Now, what we're looking at with QBTS is this overall trend continuing and what has to happen for it to happen. So QBTS is a little different than IONQ or Rigetti because those stocks have contracts with AWS or so that's Amazon's cloud service. And D-Wave, they're more independent. They don't have that um, big Microsoft Cloud plugin. They don't have that big Google Cloud plugin. They service commercial partners, and they're doing it in a good way. One of the companies that they recently partnered with apparently is just went under though, so we got to keep that in mind. Their company um, that was partnered with them was Zapata. There was a lot of questions about this company, QBTS and Zapata AI. They had some announcements earlier this year about expanding their partnership to accelerate development and delivery of generative AI platforms. There was a lot of hype around these developments, but when we look at Zapata AI, and I could be wrong, but I thought some like let's check out some of the recent news. Yeah, they're ceasing operations as of October. So Zapata Computing, early quantum AI software specialist, ceases operations. So one of those companies that D-Wave was working with isn't really going. They're shutting, their doors down. They're not going to be continuing their operations. And when you look at that, it's an ability for them to meet their financial obligations. That's the reason. And you could put that stock, if we go to ZPTA. I mean, just look at the past month. It was earlier this year trading, around 15 cents year to date, or earlier this month. And a look at that, it just absolutely tanked from $10, and it's at 10 cents right now as they're ceasing operations. Now, I'm not saying that D-Wave is necessarily, it means they're ineffective or anything like that. But you have to look at these indicators. We got to look at these things. So, the first thing I love about QBTS, which you guys have to realize, quantum computing is growing fast. The market's growing exponentially. It just recently surpassed 100 billion when it was just a couple billion. I think it was 15 billion in early 2024. It's over 100 billion now. You got some of the biggest players in the space like IBM, Microsoft, and D-Wave is in it as well. You can see some of their partnerships that they have on their website. If you go to investors, you can go to where they're in it: drug discovery, finance and portfolio optimization, materials sciences, scheduling, so scheduling, I think that's a big one. Material sciences, big one. Especially when you talk about how quantum computers are going to change the way that we find solutions to chemical reactions. A lot of drug discovery, but also chemical reactions rely on maybe not, the chemical reaction of putting the two chemicals together, maybe not the molecular level, but actually getting down to the ionic, to the electrons. How do you look at the electrons in that super high frequency movement and be able to process that data and actually compute and solve problems on something as nitty gritty as atoms and ionic? You were talking about electrons moving. That comes down to quantum computers being able to do that, and classical computers extremely struggle and aren't able to do that. So that's what you have to look at too. Classical computers can do down to the molecular level, but these quantum computers, they're going much further. And so their website looks quite beautiful. Their CEO said he was very upset and thought that Jensen was wrong, flat out wrong, about quantum computing being 15, 20 years away, because he said, we're doing quantum computing right now. And I thought that was interesting. It really helped with some of the rebound of D-Wave. You see D-Wave January 23rd, so just this past week, announced successful completion of a $150 million at-market equity offering. So offering some equity in the company. D-Wave announces new Leap Quantum LaunchPad to fast-track deployment of quantum computing applications. This is an interesting one. I think they're getting into software here, and this is going to allow companies potentially to deploy quantum computing applications. It says this was announced today. This is on the 22nd. The introduction of the new Leap Quantum Launchpad program, an initiative designed to accelerate the deployment of quantum computing applications. The program offers free trial access to D-Wave technology and expertise to help customers use annealing quantum computing to solve important business and scientific problems that can be out of reach of classical computers, kind of like what we talked about earlier with like ionic level or getting down to the electrons versus classical computers struggle with that. Annealing quantum computing is here now, and the adoption of the technology is growing. D-Wave is working with more than 100 commercial, government, and research customers that are using its quantum technologies to drive efficiencies, fuel operations, and conduct groundbreaking scientific experiments. Customers have submitted more than 200 million problems to D-Wave's advanced quantum computing systems, helping to address challenges such as employee scheduling, production scheduling, resource optimization, logistics routing, cargo loading, and academic research, and more. Interesting that they didn't mention the finance stuff. I'd like to hear more about that. The LEAP Quantum LaunchPad program aims to jumpstart the move to production deployment of quantum computing applications by helping customers quickly realize value from D-Wave, annealing quantum computing technology today. The problem is designed to accelerate the exploration, development, the program is designed to accelerate the exploration, development, and implementation of quantum and hybrid quantum applications by providing qualified participants access to D-Wave technology and support resources for a 3-month free trial period, including D-Wave's production-grade annealing quantum computers with 5,000 plus qubits and sub-second solve times, D-Wave's real-time quantum cloud service, which provides 99% uptime and availability, security, scalability, and developer tools, and a suite of advanced optimization hybrid solvers, and technical guidance from D-Wave quantum and optimization experts. So something to consider is that as we talked about, a lot of the companies that are in this quantum space are getting their usage most likely through AWS, Google Cloud, or what was the other one? Microsoft Azure. So that's where a lot of the plugin is happening. But D-Wave is taking their own approach and allowing people to plug in directly here. If I click on this program, I believe I can get started using one of their quantum computers for a program. See, I can apply right here and potentially start implementing it right now. So I think I'm going to actually check this out, see if we can use their platform. Maybe I'll see if we can give it some financial data and have it give some predictive analysis, and then compare it how it does based on a set period of time from last year to 5 days ago, and we'll see how it performs in its predictions in the markets or something, and just kind of test if we could do a simple application like that or any other applications through their quantum computing. Because one of the biggest things that we'd want to hear about in their upcoming earnings is this something that people are using right now? That's one of the biggest trends. You've heard a lot of investors say, you could talk to Naval or even Sam Altman. A lot of the look at a new market is a new market being created. That's the only time when users haven't scaled up. Otherwise, if new market's not being created, which in this case, this is kind of between a new market and something that's already existed, but we already see this market growing. So that's good indication. We see the quantum market growing. But one of the other indications that almost every venture capitalist is going to look at in an industry, and people that would be the main big investors in a company like D-Wave, is, well, there's a lot of build up to that. It is that they have usage right now. And so we got to see, are they actually having usage in their upcoming earnings? And will we see that that's reflective in their revenue? So that will be one of the big things with D-Wave. Are they getting new usage on this cloud LaunchPad that they have here? And are companies actually using the quantum computers as much as they say? And having a way to look at the measurable, other than them saying hundreds of companies are using it or research facilities are using it, let's actually see what type of numbers they come up with in earnings. And we're going to listen to all the earnings. If you guys want to stay up to date, hit the subscribe button. I would encourage you guys to subscribe so you can stay up to date, and we can absolutely see the best reporting numbers on these companies, if they're actually reporting which companies are, which companies aren't, about the usage side of their quantum computers. That's going to be a big thing in this 2025 AI boom. Is quantum computing starting to make its way into that market and industry, or is it not? And that's going to be one of the key indicators for future growth into 2026, or at least something that would see more near-term surgence in the market of quantum computing. We'll be looking at similar catalysts in other industries as well, like space tech, AI, and definitely going to be checking out some of the big tech, or maybe even some oil and gas, based on some of the recent tariffs and policy changes that we're seeing in the office. So we'll see what happens with D-Wave here. The financials were a little bit more on the negative side. They were improving year over year, but they were still down. And so we'll have to see if that improves in this next quarter earnings as well. Again, it's at this level where it's at a support. If it gets and consolidates through this trend that we kind of mapped out here, then we most likely would see we'd most likely see an opportunity at market open tomorrow. Potentially, if it bounces down to this support here, potentially could buy. But this swing between these two support and resistance levels is a 34% swing. We saw it make it in basically one day back there about 10 days ago. It's possible that it can happen. It can go either direction, as we know, with this quantum computing market, but we'll be monitoring at market open tomorrow. If you guys would like to be there at market open, make sure to check out the second link down below, expiring coupon code for Stockmate. I would love to have you guys there. If you want to surround yourself with other traders and investors, get access to books, new earnings, and targets on the hottest stocks in AI, quantum, space tech, etc. It's the second link below, and it's expiring, so make sure to check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If I earned your thumbs up, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.